Welcome back. Another episode of Outside In. After serving 27 years, 10 months, and 16 days, they finally released me. And now I'm afforded the opportunity to bring individuals onto the show to help those individuals who are going to be released. And I'm excited. And I just want to encourage everybody that's watching this, don't only listen to the information, but share it. Invite people to the channel. And know that the things that are being spoken about here are things spoken about in places behind walls and in different states that you may never hear about. But they're intentionally influencing people to rehabilitate and re-enter society. So thank you, and let's go.
Game over.
Hope you're ready. The following are some of the podcasts I've already done. Listen real close. Welcome back. Another show of Outside In. What's up, man?
What's going on, Sean Oliver?
Al Yancey, and we have
Mr. Doc Houston, man.
Okay. So, back by popular demand, this will be one of our more recent videos. And so what I want to talk about is
it's a 2024 video.
Oh, my gosh.
Golly, man.
We don't know what happened in 2023, but we've been gone. Introduce yourself to the people.
All right. So my name is Luke Jackson, born and raised Brooklyn, New York, currently residing in Texas, and actually had to sit up for some time.
We have my friend LJ Greenway with us.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Minister Sean?
I'm doing well. Introduce yourself to the people.
I am Trini Henry.
When I usually ask people that, they go into the professional. I'm such and such. You just got right to it. I'm Trini Henry. So
I'm Trini Henry. Let's rip this thing. Let's do what God has called us to do.
We have a large cast of ladies. Would you like to introduce yourself to your former peers and to the audience at hand?
Amen. Hi, my name is Crystal Blanks. I'm from Houston, Texas. Hi, my name is Lakeisha Scott. They call me Kiki. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm God's favorite daughter. Come on.
Hi, my name is Audrey Cavazos, and I'm from the Rio Grande Valley.
Hi, I'm the quiet one. I'm Patricia. And I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I am God's favorite daughter. My name is Veronica Garcia, and I'm God's favorite daughter.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Okay, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Joseph Lowry.
Bianca Billiot.
Okay, so I met Bianca the other day, so I'm gonna let you say how we met, and then we're gonna get off into the interview.
It was nothing but a
Welcome back. Another show of Outside In. What's up, man?
What's going on, Sean Oliver?
Al Yancey, and we have
Mr. Doc Houston, man.
Okay. So, back by popular demand, this will be one of our more recent videos. And so what I want to talk about is
it's a 2024 video.
Oh, my gosh.
Golly, man.
We don't know what happened in 2023, but we've been gone. So, let me start it off like this. Since we rarely get Doc on the show. Doc, you were involved with prison ministry for what church?
For the Fountain of Praise.
Okay, so I remember, man, that was a lot of bass right there, but I remember when Doc used to come in and Doc would say, "We need you," like the Army. So Doc, you're speaking all over the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. What would you tell the individuals when they get ready to get out?
I'm really telling them the same thing, to plug in with a good support system, with a church at that, state founded, especially if it was founded inside the walls, inside a prison, and use the application of the scriptures that you learned in there out here in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, see anything on that?
Most definitely. I think I'm going to piggyback off of what Brother Doc was saying, is that it's very essential that you take the God that you served on the inside and bring him home with you. Don't just pack up your red bag with your Bible and your pictures and 3 or 4 Roman noodle soups to remind you of where you've been. But take the God that you was introduced to while you was incarcerated, or you rekindle a relationship with him while he was incarcerated, and bring him home, because it makes things that much more easier.
So with that being said, before we move to the present, Doc, you got out in what year?
2015, I believe. 2015.
Okay. Yancey, what about you?
I got out February 8th of 2019.
Okay, I got out in 2020. Doc, what were 3 key things that helped you reintegrate back into society? Same question for Jens and myself. 3 things.
I mean, first and foremost, like God, like I came out with the mindset not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, but I just know I wanted to be free. But I also knew that when the Bible speaks on God provides, He provides for the lilies and the trees. I just knew God was going to provide for me in some form or fashion. So that was one thing that I had harped on, like knowing that God's going to provide for me in some form or fashion in life, in everyday life. That, like I said, that was one thing. Another thing I had focused on was just plugging in with some people that are like-minded. The people that I had plugged in with immediately, I started going to a church. And like I said, the church I was going to, they embraced me with open arms, with ease. Didn't care about the background, didn't care about where I come from, how much time I did, anything like that. They just embraced me. So I went to a solid and a very great church. And they have helped me get found. I actually got my the job I have now currently. I got my job through a deacon from my church. And these are things that happen when you go in and do what you're supposed to be doing. And they see how I walked, how I talked, how again applying the scriptures from that I learned in there out here. And once they did that, they said, hey, this guy here is a good guy. Let me give him a job. And I guess lastly, but the third thing is my family. I had a good support system, my family. My mother had been there since day one. We all know that, like we lose our friends and stuff like that, our homeboys when we get down there, but that mother's love, it stayed consistent throughout the whole time I was in prison and continuously even to this day.
Okay.
So for me, when I first got home, I wanted to exhale. I had been separated from society as a teenager, and in prison, we become so task-oriented. And what I mean by that, when are they running child? When are they having rec? What time is showers? And so you're always trying to fill the void of doing your time with doing something. So when I came home, I had the monitor on my leg, of course, so that was kind of like walking on the other side of the yellow line. And so I just wanted to inhale society and see what it had to offer, because we gravitate towards the things that we're exposed to. And for me, I had a very strong family support system. The Fountain of Praise, they embraced me as well as they did Doc when I came home. And then I began to connect the dots of my vision, some of the things that I wanted to do when I came home. And I thrust myself after about 90 days of just exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, and just getting a grips of what the world is all about. So the first thing I done was inhale. The second thing that I done was begin to see what it is that parole required of me, because that was essential for me to remain free, is to know what I must do as a parolee in order to maintain my freedom. And so once I developed a rapport with my parole officer, then I began to plug into my mentors that was mentoring me while I was incarcerated. And then when I got out, they helped plug me into Work Faith Connection. Eventually I got a job at South County of Sealy selling vehicles. And then I began to think about building credit, going places, restaurants, etc. But when I first came home, pump the brakes. Everybody wants to only mark, get set, ready, go. But when you make that transition from incarceration into society, you're no longer in a dash. You're no longer in a sprint. You're in a marathon. So you're out here to stay. So those are the 3 things that I've done.
For me, number 1 was God, because that's what kept me focused, meaning He kept me focused on what not to get involved with, not to try to chase this or chase that. So God was first. Number 2 were my peers, you gentlemen and some other people, because I was on a GPS monitor, and so that monitor was doing all kind of things. And I don't know those who may have reoffended, but if you don't know, that GPS monitor, you can overcome it. And when I say overcome it, you can do what you need to do and get off quickly. For Doc, it took a little longer. For Yancey, a little less. For me, a little longer. Because as they're progressing, people are not staying on those monitors long if you do what you need to do. But there were things like the monitor might go off and it wasn't supposed to go off because of the weather, or the power in the house or something might go out because of a storm. And my peers helped me. So God, my peers, and then finally, there's a scripture in the Bible, and it says, despise not the day of small beginnings. And that scripture held me, meaning anytime that I had a thought that something was a little too large to accomplish, I'd say just like a snowball, it can go from an idea and roll downhill and get bigger. But also when I faced different difficulties, and one of the difficulties I faced was the fact that I had to get a job and I had to find another place to stay. But I didn't know that having a felony on my record would hurt me somewhat. And so that scripture, anytime I thought something was too big, I was like, despise not the day of small beginnings. In other words, no matter what effort I put into it, as long as it was something, eventually it was going to work. And no matter how big the problem, if I just kept chopping away, eventually it's going to get small, it's going to dissipate, and it's going to leave. So for me, God, my peers, and scripture. And so with that, what you want to share with the people? Oh, by the way, to all of the women, we are doing our best to get interviews with ladies who have been formerly incarcerated. And we just want you to know we have not forgot you, but we trying to get that. But that's a little bit difficult, but know that you are not forgotten. We're very proud of you guys. Yancey and I go to some different women's units. He goes more than me. Doc, you go to some ladies unit. Doc goes. And so we're doing what we can by bringing individuals, but there are other ministries that we're attempting to tap into to get on this platform to share with you. Any comments?
Well, one of the things that we may be able to do is when we get ready to go into Lane Murray, we're going to have some women that were formerly incarcerated on that platform as well. So maybe at that time we can bring your equipment and try to get some of the ladies, because I know that's important. I know that a lot of women do not have the same benefits that the male facilities have. But I want you to know this. Number one, you have not been forgotten. And number two is, I know many of women who have sat where you are sitting, wear the green jackets, the wool blanket, the white uniform, who are out here lobbying on your behalf so you may be able to be afforded the same opportunities and privileges that you see and hear about that's happening in the male prison. So continue to be prayerful and know that you have not been forgotten.
Doc, anything to the women who are watching?
Like I tell the guys, y'all are needed out here also, especially if you're spiritually fed. Come out here and be the leaders of your household. Come back and take your kids. Come back and take your family, and be that for them. Be that what they need for them. Use what you have learned in there, to literally get spiritually fit, and just bring it out here. Like I tell the guys the same exact thing. Y'all are needed out here in some form of fact. We need holy women. We need women who are out here who are spiritually fed, and because these ladies out here, they kind of. There's some nice ones, man, but some of them, man, when it comes to the wrong, they have the wrong spirits up in them, man, and it's kind of degrading or kind of bad to see it sometimes. So I just encourage y'all to come out here and do what's right, because there are guys who are looking for women who are doing things right.
Know your worth.
Exactly.
Number one key, know who you are in Christ. Know that you're a daughter of the Most High, and know your value. And when you put a value on yourself, the sky is the limit.
Something that since you went there about know your value, but let's chop it up real brief for the fellas about relationships out here. So I'll go ahead and start. I know I got grins and all that done. So I'm gonna say this: I have patiently been waiting on God, and in the midst of that, I've been misunderstood, because if you're nice and you're trying to help the opposite sex, I'm just telling you the truth. Sometimes that can be misunderstood as, well, you gotta want something. No, don't want anything, want to help, but understanding that when you give people time, when you give people attention of the opposite sex, you want to make sure that you're being clear and that you have boundaries to where there's no misunderstanding. And so I did that for 3 years, and now prayerfully, I believe that I found someone for me. But that road, honestly, it was pretty easy besides the misunderstandings. And when I say the misunderstandings, from women in ministry to women at work to just women, and I had to learn that obviously somebody's watching this and they're like, you should have known this. Women think differently than men. And I had to realize that although my intentions were correct, that's not how necessarily they were viewed by women, meaning nobody thought I was getting out of line with them, but they thought, hey, he's open, he's available, and I wasn't. And besides that, God made everything pretty smooth. I met some great individuals who are of the opposite sex, been able to tap them into some other women and help them, but at the same time, boundaries that I didn't know I needed, I've established it. And before I pass it on, something I learned, because I work for a non-for-profit, and so a lot of times I'm helping mothers or daughters, or somewhere there's some women involved. And one thing that I learned is, if I'm helping someone, but I see they sort of may like me for whatever reason, I thought, well, okay, if I don't manipulate that or use that in a negative way, I can use that to help them aspire for what they want to accomplish, whether it's a better job, whether it's a better whatever. And what I didn't realize is, if I utilize a mechanism like that, then even though I give them all the help, they're going to always look for that first mechanism that I utilized to help them, which was, hey, you're very personal, you were nice, you assisted me. And so one thing that I had to learn is, the way that I meet people, I need to make sure that up front, there's a very good understanding of, this is what this is and this is what this isn't. Not because I'm all that in a bag of chips, but because just my actions can be misinterpreted, not because I'm doing something slick or shady, but because of how things are now in the world. There's a perception that the opposite sex, they're not going to do anything for you except they want some sex or they want some money, as far as male and females. And so that's all I want to show.
For me, when it comes down to relationships, one of the things that I'm always mindful of is two things. Coming into society, having been incarcerated for as long as I have, is that women and men have no boundaries out here. What is common out here was taboo when I went in. And so it was more on the man's responsibility to approach the woman. And so now when you come out here and you've been gone for a long time, the roles have been reversed. I don't care how many scriptures you're reading, how much you're fasting, the women will knock your Bible out of your hand and tell you that they like you. I'm gonna be 100 with you. And so when you come home, you have to have the mindset that Jesus had. What am I saying? I'm glad you asked. Jesus looked at women in two ways. He either called them woman or he called them daughter. So if you gain, as a man who's sitting behind prison walls, if you gain the mindset to look at the women as your daughter or your mother, what type of lustful mindset will you have? And so what you have to do is go to Genesis, realize that God put man in a place, gave him a responsibility, and then he moved forward with Eve. So for me, having been gone 27 years, 5 months and 1 day, or 10,006 days, however you want to count it, I know that I had to get myself established first. I can't date if I'm staying with somebody else. I left the world as a teenager, staying with my mama. Then I came and stayed with 60, 100, 3,000 men. I come home staying with somebody. So therefore, how can you accurately date a woman when you haven't even proved you can pay a bill? And so for the last 5 years, I made 5 years last week, I've been establishing my credit, getting my business off the ground, and to understand in the business that I'm in, logistics, one of the things you highlighted was time. Being able to spend time with the significant other that you're pursuing. Unfortunately, driving 16, 18, 27 hours a day, you don't have time to establish a relationship. And so for me, it's just a marathon. In due time, I will find my rib, I will find my helpmate. But for me, I got to be man enough to say, hey, Albert, are you truly ready for a relationship? And if you're not, don't mislead somebody. Because I'm going to tell you, men, you can get into the bed with a woman before you can get a hot meal. So don't chase the sex. Chase your dreams and your visions. And in due time, your eating will be set up. You will have employment. You will have good credit. And therefore, when your Eve walk in, the number one thing that she looks for is security. And you'll be able to provide that for her.
So I'm ready. He getting ready. Where you at, Doc? I think he been ready, but we're gonna see which story we get right here. It's gonna get good right here.
I mean, everything y'all said, the boundaries is one thing. You do have to set some boundaries and know your boundaries. Establish. That's a good point. You want to get established and everything. I'm not saying there's not another way to go at it. Like I've seen guys come out and they sat with a woman, and the woman who they sat with, they were married to when I was in there or whatever, and the woman helped him get on his feet. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of went the traditional way, trying to get established. You know what I'm saying? Before I had it. I mean, I started dating immediately and everything like that. So
immediately.
I mean, what I mean by that, like
immediately.
I dated a woman for a while that I dated back when I was in high school. So
seem like you're
and,
ready.
and I feel like I was ready, but I still had some growth to do and everything like that. So that's what we need to do. You need to grow and get ready and just have tolerance. You know, my guys, y'all will have to have some tolerance because there's gonna be some things y'all have to deal with, some things that you're not gonna like, you know. But I used to always say this here. I said when I was locked up, I said if I stayed in prison 20 years, and I said I had multiple cellies throughout, and I don't think I had one conflict with now cellie. You know, so I did the things to make sure my cellie was all right. I said, why I can't come out here and do this here for a woman? You know what I'm saying? So I make the adjustments and I try. And sometimes they don't even work, fellas. You know what I'm saying? But still, if you know you're doing your part, you're doing your role, and especially keeping it spiritual, you know what I'm saying, with biblical principles and all that stuff like that, I just feel like things are going to work out and you're going to find it. I know a bunch of guys who were down there with us. They have their woman, they have their wife, and they're doing really, really well. They're building together, they're getting established and everything like that. And it's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see. So getting established is really, really important, like what Yancey has said. And I do want my guys, y'all, to hear this here. Do right by the women, man, because there are women who are searching for guys that are built how y'all are built, you know, but you come out here and you do them wrong, it's just not a good look. So I'm asking you guys, when y'all come out here, man, like, yay, come out here and be that what you talk, be that what you walked in there in prison. I'm talking about all the way around, spiritually as you was in there, or as you are in there right now. Come out there and be that out here for that woman, because they're looking for it and they love it. And women love Christian men, love good, strong Christian men who are bold, who take the lead and know what they're supposed to do in life, man. So I encourage y'all the same thing. Just come out here and do right by the women, because I have seen some guys come out here and messed off some women that were great, and I don't want y'all to be those type of guys, man.
And when it comes to relationships, I think the number one advice that I give both men and women, because we do have women that's coming home and want to get established in a good, solid relationship. And I kind of giggle with the women when I go in there and I tell them, if you want to find your man, go to Genesis 1:26. And he said that he created man after his image and his likeness. And so if the man, you who are in prison, or the woman that's looking for the man, if the man that she's trying to follow, that she's trying to find, and he is not the man of 126 following God, then he's a male, he's not a man. And so in relationships, we have to have this mindset. Ask yourself the question this: what are you willing to put up with? You have to know what your boundaries are as a man and as a woman. What are you willing to put up with? Because relationships are about sacrifices and it's about boundaries. And so there's certain circumstances and situations. I'm going to tell you, my pet peeve is don't leave dishes in the sink overnight. Don't leave water in the sink overnight. And don't leave clothes in the dryer for a whole week. That's a boundary, but it's something that's can be compromised. So you have to know what you're willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with.
Okay. So here we go. Watch this. If you don't mind, if you don't want to answer, don't say nothing. The first job that I got when I got out of prison paid me $7.35.
Mm-hmm. I was an auto sales representative, so I was making anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 a month.
Okay.
My first job, I was making maybe $300 a week, $400 a week.
Okay, the reason that I asked that, this is something that we're running into. And everybody chime in where you at. Bruh, young lady, if you get out and the table is set and you're making whatever amount of money, meaning some people hit the ground $24 an hour, $50 an hour, because it depends upon your vocational skills. And it depends upon where you go. There are people coming to Austin who have construction experience. They hit the ground making it. But why am I telling you this? You have people who need money, need a place to stay, and are not willing to take what's in front of them because they have their eyes set on what they want later. And the reason I ask you, we all hit the ground in different places, but there's not one person that I know, and I can't speak for them, that if they're just faithful in whatever that is, whether they're making a lot of money, whether they're making a little money, everybody is going to grow incrementally. That's the way society is today, bro. If you hit the ground running, the sky is the limit. If you start right here, the sky is the limit. But the key is, don't get out talking about what you ain't gonna take, but we look up 3 months later and you don't have nothing. And somebody, well, man, I ain't gotta work. Oh, okay, well, you so tough. Why don't you have a job in 3 months? And I'm not speaking for those who are doing maybe like Yancey said, meaning, hey, man, I have the family situation, or I have a situation where I don't have to work right when I get out. I'm not talking to you. But I'm speaking to other people to let you know, don't be blinded by pride, other people's opinions, or sometimes your own thoughts. And instead of doing something that you could do, you end up doing nothing. And then you find yourself strained up.
And the reason that's a good point, because a lot of times we'll work overtime in the kitchen for a Johnny sack. We will volunteer to go wipe bars so we can talk to our friends and saying, but when you come home, you don't want to talk in a drive-through window at Whataburger. You don't want to go to Dairy Queen. You don't want to be a greeter. You don't want to mop floors. You don't want to do all these things. But you went out of your way while you was incarcerated to do those things that you wasn't getting a dime for, or you was getting a Johnny sack for. And so what has to happen is you have to develop the mindset that when you come home, getting any job is a start, because you can always find a job when you have a job. Now, me as an employer, you come to me and you tell me that you was incarcerated. That's already one strike against you. Number two, you tell me that you've been home for 2 years and you haven't had an employment. So why should I take a risk on hiring you for my company, thinking that you're going to be an asset to my company when you've been home 2 years? But to the person that comes in that worked at Dairy Queen or Whataburger or Arizona Tea in the warehouse, and they was making $7 or $8, and they come to me and say, I'm working at Arizona Tea and I'm making $15 an hour, but I'm looking for another opportunity, then I'm more amped to hire that person, because why? They've shown consistency for 2 years. So again, don't despise small beginnings, because it's that little job that'll open up the door for something. And if you be faithful in little, God will allow you to be faithful in much. So you have to be humble.
Yeah, that's all. You do have to be humble. And I know I said make like $300 or $400 a week. I actually started off working for free. That's just to get the job. And then it became to $40 a day. And then it mutated to the $300 or $400 a week. And I'm remodeling houses, had no experience at all. So I really kind of feel like I should be paying y'all to do this trade on the cool, because they took a chance and hired me. You know what I'm saying? And I never, like I said, I never touched a house before in my life, and I started remodeling houses. From that point, you know, being faithful, you know what I'm saying? Like you was mentioning, a deacon from my church, he said, hey, you something, everything all right with your job and all that stuff like that? I took a chance with him. here it is, what, I don't know, what, 5 years later, 6 years later though, but I started with, like you said, mentioning Arizona tea. I work for Arizona tea. Same tea that people was in there making fun of me. Like, you want some more tea, sir? When I was working at ODR, I'm out here now, you know, working for Arizona Tea. Not only working for them, I manage the company. You know what I'm saying? I have employees underneath me. I've actually hired some guys that y'all probably know to come work for me. You know what I'm saying? In my warehouse. You know what I'm saying? I gave them opportunity because of what we had in there. We had a camaraderie. We rubbed elbows. And that actually happened to me also. A guy who I knew in prison, Major gave me a job at one point in time when he was in position. So we're getting in position out here, you know what I'm saying? But we started off small. We started off working for free. We started off working off for peanuts. Again, we work for free in prison, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes joyfully, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, volunteer.
Sometimes joyfully. Yeah, so yeah, that happy. You have that same attitude out here. And I'm impressed with the guys who come out from work. We have a different work ethic.
Yeah, most
you know what I'm
definitely.
saying? And those people recognize that, you know what I'm saying? And I have gradually, like I said, each year I have literally made more money each year since I've been home. And I thank God for it. And he placed me in a position to live life and live life more abundantly, as the scriptures say.
Absolutely.
Something that comes to mind, because you have some people who are watching this who are authors, but they haven't been published yet, whether it's poetry or other things. You have some business people who don't yet have a business. And so I'm just going to drop this on you and see what these gentlemen want to share. The thing that I would encourage anybody who's written anything in there that you want published, but you're there, somebody's going to have to help you on the outside. And the key thing that I would say, you want them to research KDP publishing. And that's basically self-publishing. So I'm gonna repeat it again. If you're a writer and you've written something, a script or whatever else, and you want to get it published on Amazon, you're gonna look up KDP Publishing. Have somebody do that. Number two, if you are someone who you have a business in your mind, the one thing that I would share with you, two things that helped me immensely: to get an LLC. Without paying a lot of money for a lawyer, you can check out Legal Shield. Legal Shield, you'll pay $40-something a month, but you have access to lawyers who are on their payroll. So I'm not going to give you too much, but just giving you some simple things. If you're a would-be businessman and you just get out, you can utilize Legal Shield, which is $45 a month, to get some lawyers to get your LLC or do some other paperwork for you. Not your taxes, but some paperwork to establish your business. And if you're an author, get somebody, if you want to write, say, hey, I want you to check out Amazon KDP Publishing, because they can literally upload whatever you have there for free.
And one of the things that I always tell the people who are in prison, change the perspective of where you reside. Look at the place as a place for you to invest. Most of us, we say, I'm in the penitentiary. Why not say I'm in Penn State? Why do we say that we in jail and not Yale? It's about perspective and about being in a position to become a better person. Because one of the things that I learned since I've been home is that what we possess coming from the gutters, what we possess coming from the streets, what we possess having endured incarceration is invaluable. What we have can't be taught in a classroom. And so even if you haven't wrote a book, even if you hadn't wrote a poem, even if you have not wrote a script, if you can perfect your story can pay you dividends. I can't tell you how many places that I've went to just sharing my story and the things that I went through pre-incarceration, while incarcerated, and post-incarceration that has given me a check at the end of the day. So if you can master your story and make it captivating to an audience, then it's something that you can market when you come home. And so you have nothing but time. If you're in a cell block, you can get your mirror, you can set it on the bars, and you can practice giving your speech. If you're in a dormitory, go to the bathroom. Look in the mirror at the bathroom. Have people critique you on where your strength is and where your weakness is, and hone those skills while you're incarcerated. Because if you do, even if you've been gone 25 years, 15 years, 13 years, whatever, you'll find yourself far ahead of the people who are doing the work, and they're getting paid for it, but you qualified and equipped for it, because a lot of people are not practicing public speaking out here. They don't know how to tell their story without an well, but you know. And as a result of that, if you can practice those skills now, then when you make your transition to society, you will be much further ahead than the people who are in there, and you can knock them out of position, and you can also get you a job and get currency because of what you went through.
Doug, any comments?
You talked about the LLC and everything. Whatever ideas that y'all have in there, I don't care what it is. I just seen too many guys out here who have done it. I don't care if you was in there washing clothes, if you was in there pressure washing for the warden, if you're in there cooking for the warden, cutting grass,
Host squad,
whatever it is that you were doing in there, do not take that stuff for granted, because there are people who are out here who literally have started businesses pressure washing, washing clothes, sewing clothes, cutting grass. I got a guy, he got like 15 people underneath him. He's a lawnmower store. He cuts for the city of Houston. You know, so he has contracts. You know what I'm saying? And then it all started when he was locked up so many years ago in host squad, out there cutting the grass. So don't ever take that stuff for granted. As detrimental as it looks right now, you can take that and turn it into something out here with ease. And it's a beautiful thing to really see. So all the ideas that you have in there, all the books that you have written, all the songs that you have written, all the poetry, whatever it is, hold on to those things and be prepared to use those things out here in some form or fashion, because it's being done, fellas. It's really being done, and ladies, it's being done with, I won't say with relatively ease, but it's being done. You see the success from it.
Write it down.
And make it plain.
Write it down, because I just went and cleaned out my storage the other day, and I was going through some tablets that I had for ideas and different people, and you know, so write down that stuff. You got all day. Stop sitting around the TV naming all the actors on The Young and the Restless. You know all the Dallas Cowboys. You know all the 49ers. You all know all the Texans. You can make somebody in 3 moves. You sitting at the table knocking all day long, and then you walk away with $1, and then you're going to squash 50 cents of it for your homeboy. So you spent 9, 10, 12 hours knocking all day, to where you can be investing in your future, because this is the hope that I want to give you. One day, you're going to get out of there. So while you're in there, instead of looking at one day win, learn how to win one day at a time.
And when Yancey said that for those who have a life sentence, a capital life sentence, life without parole, I'm going to say this humbly. That's a city that you in. That's a city that you in, that you can make a difference, you can make an impact that can extend beyond that city. And you never know what might happen in the lives of the people that you influence, or in the lives of people who hear about you influencing. So make a difference where you at. Until next time, continue to tune in. Tank Radio, Outside In, tell your neighbors, watch it. And these videos right here, if you want to tell your relatives or something, say, hey man, that was a good video, watch it. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Outside In, The Tank. So y'all have a good day.
Love y'all.